They say that patience is a virtue, but that's not always the case, right? I mean, patience can be something that is a good thing. It can be something that's a bad thing. It just depends on the scenario. So some people wait way too long. They have way too much patience, and that costs them a lot of money when it comes to the action that they don't take, right? So for example, if you got a new product and somebody gets out ahead of you with that product, maybe they put the product out first before you do, well, then patience isn't necessarily a virtue in that scenario, right? Patience is actually something that's extremely damaging to somebody that doesn't move fast enough. It's one of those things that you have to achieve a balance when it comes to patience, and you can't use just a black and white rule, right? Patience is definitely something that falls in the gray area of life. It is not something that you can put in one bucket or the other, saying you always have to have patience, because the faster you can move in some situations, the more money you're going to make. Part of having patience is being able to understand up front exactly what kind of scenario you're in. So if you're looking at being patient from a planning perspective, like when you're looking at whatever scenario you're looking at getting into, you have to look at, does patience actually benefit me or hurt me in this situation? So lining out that plan and really looking at exactly what scenario you're playing in will be a huge benefit to being able to look at, is patience a positive or a negative in every situation? I think that in today's world, you see two kind of completely different types of people, and there's extremes in this situation of looking at planning, right? So there's a lot of people that over plan everything, right? They spend so much time planning that they don't spend enough time taking action. If you're spending way too much time on the front end thinking about the what ifs and why you shouldn't do something or what are the risks, and you're not actually taking enough time to execute. But on the flip side, if you don't spend any time planning and you are just constantly executing, you could be out executing what you're supposed to be doing. So you could be getting out ahead of yourself where a little bit of planning might benefit you. So just like anything else, having a plan, there's a massive amount of balance that has to really be achieved to be able to do that. And when you look around today, you'll see a lot of people, man, that fall into those two categories that I just described. And anything in the world is bad to one extreme or another, right? If you don't plan enough, or you're a person that plans way too much, those are extremes that end up costing you a lot of time, end up costing you a lot of money. And as a result, if you can achieve the balance of those two, if you can just kind of fall in the middle and you're just a person that plans enough but then goes and takes action and kind of adjust that plan on the fly, you're always going to win more than those people that fall into those two buckets. You know, one of the things that I see with people that plan too much, one of the roadblocks that they run into is that they'll spend weeks and sometimes months trying to plan something, and literally by the time that they get to the point of executing on their strategy, they literally totally forget some of the details of the plan that they created in the first place. And so it's important for you to balance planning, because if you are somebody that plans entirely too much, by the time it's actually time to go execute your plan, you will have forgotten some of the details, and some of those details could be the gold that actually costs you quite a bit of money or quite a bit of efficiency or quite a bit of time in the process of executing your plan. So as you think about the impact that you want to make with a person, in your business, in the world, the people that are around you in your life, one of the things that you absolutely have to master is having patience, right? The patience to listen, the patience to hear what somebody has to say, the patience to actually genuinely understand another person. And as you start to understand that, as you really get to know somebody at a deeper level, not just a surface level, but at a deeper level, by listening and having real conversations with them that have an impact both on you and on the other person, you exchange impact in those conversations, and then in the time that you spend together, that is actually completely accomplished by being patient enough to nurture a relationship. And when you nurture relationships, you start to create massive amounts of fulfillment in your life, and you create an environment where people really start to appreciate that relationship and connection that they have with you or another person that's doing that for them. And so as you create that in your life, you're going to find yourself surrounded by people that truly are genuine friends, genuine business relationships, and that is where fulfillment starts and ends. And when you have fulfillment in your life, success is a byproduct of that, right? You feel fulfilled every day. Everything that you get to do, you find enjoyment in. And that is really where the rubber meets the road for success. It's where the most money is made, is when people are just genuinely feel like they're in the right spot. And every single business that you see that is massively successful starts and ends with culture. And everything that I just described right there is the foundation of a great culture. And whether that's a great culture in a business, a great culture in a friendship, a great culture in a marriage, all of those things are attached together, but they all balance on patience, impact, all these things that we're talking about all tie together to create the very best relationships and connections in your life. If you want to make an impact on a person and you have a great conversation, you can leave any conversation, with an extremely high level of enthusiasm. But if you actually want to make an impact, it's what happens from that point of having that high level of enthusiasm and ongoing through the rest of that relationship. So, for example, if you have a great meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning, that person has all day to deal with life and all the things that life throws your way, whether it be more problems at work, maybe some challenges with the family when they get home. A great way to kind of nurture that impact that you're trying to make, or that level of enthusiasm that you've created through a great conversation, is to circle back at the end of the day and send that person a video message, or send that person a text message or an email or a quick, voice note that just says, just kind of reminds them of why that conversation was so important to you, why it had such an impact on you, or what the impact you were trying to make with them, kind of reiterating that so that they can remember that. And when you do that right before you go to sleep, or maybe they miss the message in the evening and they catch it the next morning when they wake up, those are really quiet times that people spend right before they go to sleep or when they wake up in the morning. And that really helps to solidify whatever impact you were trying to make, or whatever impact was made on you through that conversation. So if you're trying to make a massive impact on somebody, one of the most important things that you can do in a conversation is actually to just be present and actually listen, and actively listen without trying to respond, right? That is the way that you make every conversation count and you make the biggest impact on somebody, is just genuinely attempting to listen to someone. And I want you guys to think about this, like when it comes down to how many people actually genuinely listen to you. Not listening to respond, but actually listening to understand what you're saying, like attentively listening to you. There's just not that many people in the world that genuinely listen. They might be listening while they're doing other things, while they've got their phone in their hand, while they're on their computer, while they're doing other things. But how many people actually genuinely listen to you? So if you are actually trying to make an impact, the best thing that you can do in every conversation is be 100% present and attentive.